parents really need to hear what he said.
Welcome to today's episode of On the Couch. I'm Dr. Larry Crenshaw, and today it's my privilege to have with me a special guest, Dr. Tony Adderley, and her son, Josh Page. Josh is a former collegiate athlete who played basketball for many years for Lincoln University and
St. Augustine
University. Okay. And so Josh is one of the perfect candidates to share the attributes of paying attention to mental hygiene and developing positive mental hygiene. And so Josh, tell us a little bit about your experience and how applying positive tools, positive psychology tools helped you to overcome the issues that you had.
Well, I started playing basketball when I was probably 5-6 years old. That's all I really ever knew, basketball and football, coming from an athletic family. It was kind of just in me to play sports. I just was naturally athletically, I don't want to boost myself, but I was just athletically talented all around. So growing up playing sports, that's really all I knew. So when I got to middle school, that's where I really personally knew how good I was, because I was able to, in 8th grade, I was able to lead a team to a championship that year, and I was starting to create a lot of buzz for myself around the area, around the DC area, and I had numerous high schools wanting me to come to their school, but I ended up choosing to go to DeMatha. My main decision for DeMatha was just basically growing up going to all the camps. I went to all the summers, private school camps, DeMatha, Gonzaga, all those WCAC schools that get a lot of national attention. And I thought that was just the best decision for me at the time. But I was young, I didn't know any better. If I had to do it again, I would have chose a whole different route. I would have went where I was wanted and not go where I wanted to go, if that makes sense. But it all ended up working out. I ended up transferring from DeMatha and going to a high school, a little small high school called Clinton Christian, but it was Rock Creek at the time, and we were nationally ranked, and we had, I think, out of the 15 guys that was on the team, I think about 12 of us ended up going to school for free, to college for free. So it all ended up working out. I then went to Lincoln University first after I graduated from high school. Was on a scholarship, played for Doug Overton. He played with Allen Iverson for the Sixers, played in the NBA. Then I ended up leaving after 2 years and going to St. Aug in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, and finishing up there. I got into a little trouble academically, so I wasn't able to play my senior year. And that really took a toll on me mentally, because basketball was like all I knew, and that's what I wanted to pursue. And so when I wasn't able to play my senior year, that just, it really took a toll on me. I went into like deep depression, and seeing all my friends and stuff that I were teammates with going overseas or going to the NBA. So that's really where I dealt with most of my depression. And I would just like distance myself from everything.
When we connect our mental health wellness to our experience, a lot of times we reflect on that and we look back and we say, I wish that I would have done something differently. But one of the things that, and one of the places that I always start with my clients is this, is if you would have changed your experience, would we really be, and would you really be the person that you are today? You know, imagine if you changed just one little thing in your past, then although we look at it as an outlook of, you know, if I could have changed this, I would have achieved so many other things, but maybe there's somebody that you met after going through that experience that really is a big part of your life, or there's something that you've done that is also a really big part of who you are today. So a lot of times I think that people look at their experiences and they look at things wishing that they could have done something different, but obviously you found a strength and you were able to overcome that. So why don't you tell me a little bit about the positive things that you found that helped you in moving forward from this depression and the anxiety that you experienced after not being able to play in your senior year?
Well, after I graduated from college, I basically was just in a what's the next mode, like just trying to figure it all out, and it just randomly happened. My sister's old high school coach was looking for a basketball coach at the time to go help at her school, and I didn't know what it would turn into at first because I didn't have any experience coaching. I just knew what I was taught from being a player, and just realizing just all the coaches that what they taught me and what I've learned from them. I just tried to combine it all within all the coaches I ever played for, and just come up with a good strategy to be successful for what I think would be successful. So that definitely helped. At the time, that definitely helped with my mental being, and I would also say going to the gym, being active in the gym. When I came home from school, I wasn't active at all. I would just be in the house, laying around, watching TV, eating, gaining weight, and that definitely didn't help at all. That just made things worse. So I think getting up, going to the gym, just being active, even if it's for like 30 minutes, just doing something always helps, because that can, I always tell people, like, that can change your whole day. Like, you get up, you can wake up in a bad mood, you go to the gym, or you go do something just outside of the house, and your mood can change for the rest of the day, just turn from a negative to a positive mood. So that definitely helped me. So I would say those are the two things right now that help me cope with negative energy.
Okay. Now, Dr. Adelaide, or can I call you Tony?
Please.
Okay. So, Tony, as a parent, when Josh was going through these experiences of depression and anxiety and feeling sort of stuck, tell me how was that experience for you as a parent?
It was difficult. He's always been, a great athlete. That just kind of runs in our family. It stopped with me, but it runs in our family. So I think when I look retrospectively, we pushed Josh a lot. We saw that he was talented in every sport he played, but he ended up choosing basketball. So basketball is a year-round sport now with young people. Most of these sports, youth athletics, it's like you finish a season, then you're in training, then you're in AAU. So it's like all year long. Yeah. And, when we look back, he never got a break. So as a little kid, all the way through high school to college, we were all supportive. Family was supportive. We'd be driving, fly to games, thinking, he's great. And one thing, if you don't mind me sharing, I think where I saw the breakdown was at Lincoln when he was in college, and they were having homecoming, and he called me, and he was a wreck. He was like, "Mom, I can't do this," and I'm thinking, hey, homecoming for me was great. You're hanging out and all that. And he couldn't do it. He was like, my hands are sweating, my heart's beating. I felt like the walls are closing in. And I got from DC to Lincoln University, probably, I feel like it was like 30 minutes, but it, obviously took longer. But I got there and he literally it seemed like a nervous breakdown because it was a social anxiety issue. And from that point, you know, he had some counseling, and got tools to understand what was going on. But that was where I saw it. He never got to socialize. He was never a kid that got to hang out. I'm not saying he didn't do anything, but for the most part, it was basketball, school, basketball. So that's where it started. So once we knew, and I said we, he and I understood the triggers of his social anxiety, which led to depression, and other things that went on. But it helped. And he always knows he can come to me. He can come to my mom, his dad, his sister, when he feels like he's having. I think that's lifelong. And you would know better than I do that mental health struggles aren't something that just goes away. But if you have tools and you know your triggers, you know, then you can deal with it. But basketball, definitely, to me, us kind of pushing, thinking that was the right thing. He enjoys it. He's good at it. You know, that's where I think, you know.
You know, one of the things that I talk to my clients about is about maybe changing the narrative of what mental health wellness is about and thinking of it more as a mental hygiene. You know, and when we think of it as hygiene, you know, you think of your physical hygiene. Every day you wake up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you get dressed, you put on your best, right? And you pay attention to what's going on with you. However, when we think of our mental health, you know, a lot of times people attribute our mental health wellness to, oh, is there a problem? But you know, when we stay in tune with what's important to us and how we're feeling, then we're more likely to reach out to somebody in our support system, like you reached out to your mom when you weren't feeling your best. And that's a big thing, because a lot of times people suffer in silence. And that's the thing that I would like to leverage on this platform, is that there's no reason to suffer. You know, our mental health is just as important as our physical health, and physical fitness is something that is very endearing to you. And so I'd like to expand on, you know, what you're doing today with all of the skills and the strengths that you learned in your athletic journey that are helping you to help others to stay in tune with what's going on with them.
Like mentally, or
just in life in general, like how you promote, you know, wellness with your players.
Your kids you work with.
Yeah.
You haven't shared that.
Yeah. I work at a boarding school right now for it's kind of like last chance you. But yeah, I just try to get them to understand. Like, I'm around them every day, and I just try to get them to understand, like, the way that they're were brought up living, and you could tell by the way that they act. Like, it's just, it takes a toll on them, just because they're used to a certain way at home, and seeing a certain lifestyle, and then they get to the school, and then they have positive influencers trying to get them to get on the right track. And it's like, sometimes they want to rebuttal and push back, just because that's not what they're used to. But it's definitely difficult, especially with this younger generation. But I just try to get them to understand that mentally, everything it's on you. Like, you cannot just let stuff sit in. You have to, because basically my role is an advisor. So I try to get them to just talk to me about anything. And so it's a couple of kids that gravitated to me just because of being an athlete, and every kid want to be an athlete nowadays. So I just try to get them to understand they have to take care of their business first off the court, and then handle their business on the court in terms of homework and doing their chores and just basic life skills. But that's with them. And then I also coach AAU. So with them, I just try to get them to understand that everything is not always going to go perfect. You have to just push through battles sometimes and push through adversity. When especially that's the main time to like basically buckle up, is just when adversity hits, you have to basically overcome it and just push through it. So that's I would say the main.
I like that. I like that that awareness of that life is going to present us with challenges just as it presents us with opportunities. And now that you've become aware of that, would you say that that makes you a stronger person because now you're aware that there's opportunity, that everything is not going to just go perfectly every day?
I mean, I would say that I'm definitely more accustomed to it and stronger in that aspect, but I'm not perfect myself. I still go through stuff myself. So with me just teaching them that, it kind of helps me deal with it also, because it's on my mind, and just I'm constantly telling myself what I'm telling them. You know, so it helps.
So tell me, on any given day, you know, how do you start out your day? What does a typical day look like for you?
Today, since the new year started, I actually told myself that I was just gonna be, because I know what works for me now. And so since the new year started, I just every day I wake up, I knock out like 100 push-ups, and that helps me just like get started. And then I go to the gym. I don't have to be at work until 2:30, 3 o'clock. So go to the gym. After that, I get something to eat. Then by that time, I can go home, take a nap, wake up, and head to work. And I get off of work like 12 in the morning. So
oh wow,
yeah. So it's a long day after that. But that pretty much helps me get my day started and prepares me for the day and everything.
You know, I like that. You know, you're an athlete, and you continue to be an athlete even outside of the university or the collegiate area. You're continuously an athlete throughout your life. Now you're coaching individuals, and I think that's important, because a lot of times we're kind of conditioned. When we're a child, we go outside and we play. And when we're at school, you know, it's organized. And so at certain points we have recess, we have, you know, other things throughout the day, other activities that helps us to kind of increase those positive endorphins that you're doing when you go to the gym in the morning, or when you're playing basketball with your friends, or even when you're coaching. But so many times people become absent of that when they get older. You know, they get older and their job becomes, you know, their reality, or it becomes their life. So I like that you are continuing to use what you've learned to help you to move forward throughout your day.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, are there any other things after going through your experience that you think you would share with somebody that's coming after you? Like, so you're speaking to the young basketball player that's playing on the collegiate level, or maybe you're speaking to the high school student that is playing, and his job, his idea is that he's going to be in the NBA, or he's going to be in the NFL, or he's going to play for a soccer team. If you're speaking to that athlete after going through all of the experiences that you went through, what would you tell them that you think would be most beneficial, you know, in them developing themselves as a young adult, or as a young teenager, as the way that they should think about their career in athletics or in sports?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would probably say, I try not to tell it to the kids that I work with, just because they're in middle school and they like to dream and have certain goals, and I don't want to be the one to kill their dreams and everything. But I think if I'm talking to a college athlete or a high school athlete, I think the biggest thing is just to tell them to make sure you have a backup plan, because nothing is ever guaranteed. I know that firsthand because I broke my leg and I was told I was never going to be able to play again. So anything can happen in a split second, especially playing sports. So I think that would be the biggest thing is to have a backup plan and find something you like to do outside of playing. You know, it's a lot of things you can do, especially nowadays, that still involves in being around sports. And so I think, because that's what I'm pursuing right now, I'm getting my master's degree in sports marketing. I want to eventually be an athletic director.
Okay.
So it's just so much you can do, and if you love sports, there's so much you can do to stay around the sport, even if you're not playing. So you can be on the sideline coaching. You can be a trainer. You know, it's a lot of stuff you can do. Analytics. You know, so I think that's the biggest thing, is find something you like to do outside of sports or within the sports, not playing. That's the biggest thing I would tell them. But
I like that. I think that's excellent advice to give to people. I at one point was adjunct professor at UDC, the University of the District of Columbia, and I can remember going to a retreat, a teaching retreat, and some of the people talking about, some of the professors talking about, you know, encouraging the A, and, you know, and creating incentives for students and others, like really pushing them towards that A. But I told them, I said, in my class, I celebrate the C's, I celebrate the B's, I celebrate, you know, I celebrate all grades, because I think it's very important to teach children and to develop children and young minds and older minds that, you know, it's important for us to develop ourselves and have backup plans, but also have people that we've trained in our community that can support our community. And I think having those representations in our community helps us to promote positive health. Now, Dr. Adelaide, I'm sorry, Tony, I know that you also are a dentist. And so tell me, I know that, you know, dental work and the work that you do for people, I mean, they say that teeth are the gateway into people's soul. So tell me a little bit about how you feel about that and the work that you're doing
with
there.
dentistry.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a loaded question, as you know. So dentistry is paramount to just overall health and well-being. I'm sort of on my way out of the clinical aspect of dentistry. I've loved it. It's been a great career. We have patients every day that come. We're not just dentists. Patients come in the chair and they want to just talk.
Yeah.
You know, it really ties into what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Because people come in with all kinds of things going on, good and bad, and want to really just express that to you. So we end up being sort of psychiatrists or psychologists, therapists, whatever. And I teach now at Howard College of Dentistry, so I love that because I'm giving back, as Josh said. When you teach, giving back of what you feel like you're a subject matter expert in, there's nothing better than that to me. So, yeah.
Nice. I like that. So Josh, back to you, putting you in the hot seat, giving back and teaching. You talked a lot about how you're fostering and helping to develop young minds, and you talked about moving into sports marketing, and so I would imagine that you're using the voice of your players to and the voice of those that follow players. Is that what some of the things that you're considering leveraging?
Yeah, well, just overseeing all sports, because I wake up and watch SportsCenter every day, so I know a lot about sports, and I think I'll just be good at it, just overseeing every sport that's in a university, or if it turns out to be as far as a general manager of a team or professional team. I think I'll be able very well at that also.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just on that side of things, just handling all the sports. Yeah.
You know, I want to just add into what he said. I think it's really important when we look at this, you know, as you and I talked initially about this whole space of athletes and mental health, mental hygiene. I think it's important, again, as Josh mentioned, I think little ones really need, young athletes, not little, and their parents really need to hear what he said about having another plan. Because I think as myself, and I mean, I'm an academic, so I wasn't an athlete, but I don't think I instilled that from my side as mom. So I mean, he, you know, knew studying was important, but as an athlete, I don't think I thought of the mental hygiene piece. And I think young children that are in athletics should have some sort of counseling about this. I think there needs to be a broader picture, as we talked about, with little ones, because then you don't become an older athlete on whatever level you end up on and not know it's okay to talk about how you feel, or I'm not feeling good today. You know, and I share with you my dad, who played on the highest levels of the NFL, went to the league, is in the Hall of Fame, but suffered depression. I mean, when the lights went out and the cheers, it was hard for him to handle retirement. So, you know, that's, if you have the tools, again, from a young age, knowing that it's okay to go talk to somebody, whether that's someone in your circle or to a professional, it's okay. You know, and I think that's the bottom line of why you and I came together with this. And our foundation is to allow safe space for athletes to know it's okay. Not to be not okay. You know?
And I think that this is a good space for you to introduce your foundation, because we've not discussed your foundation as of yet in the program, but talk a little bit about your foundation, and I know your father's depression was a big part of what led you to becoming attuned with and also creating the foundation. So tell us a little bit about your foundation and what you hope to achieve.
So the foundation is actually in my dad's name, Herb Adderley 26 Foundation. And we started it basically because my dad was a great man, first of all, to us. And I think in his passing, we realized he wasn't just Pop and Dad. He was loved by a lot of people and admired. And stories are still coming out to us about his philanthropy and what he did for people quietly, and we never, knew. So that was an important reason for me to start the foundation. But as it evolved, and it's not old, it's maybe 3 years old, but it's evolving, and we started a program called Candid Conversations, which led us here. So Josh and Patrick Johnson were our first two conversations. Both were young people that were athletes that had aspirations to go as high in their sport as they could, and for whatever reasons, it stopped. But we created a safe space for them to be able to talk to a moderator about whatever challenges they had as they went through their careers. So that's kind of where we are. We pivoted to that space, and I love it. I think that, and Josh still has friends now that would come and talk in a safe space like this if we could, continue to make that happen. It's important to me.
Well, it's exciting, and every time we've discussed your organization or your foundation, I always become very excited about the work that you're doing. I think that it's so positive for us as a community to recognize that other people have and I'm talking about other culture sharing groups, they've recognized that mental health wellness, mental hygiene is important. And they've always had the means or the insurance or the resources in order to take advantage of that.
And the will.
right?
Because in our community, it's been taboo to have these conversations that we're having today. So I think that's a piece for us to really encourage other athletes or just people that look like us to have these conversations. It's important.
And I think it's empowering.
It's
right?
empowering.
It's empowering. Do you, Josh? I'll go back to you. How do you feel that once you became aware of your mental health or your mental hygiene, how do you feel that changed your life?
It definitely helped. But like I said, I still deal with stuff like to this day. So I don't know. I feel like it's helped and it's became better, but it's just always something that I can just know what to do now, you know, instead of just suffering. I have tools, like you said, to deal with it.
I like that. And Tony, is there anything that you would like to share as we end our discussion today?
I'm glad that we did this. I hope that it reaches someone, if it's one person, to change what they think about mental hygiene. And as Josh says, it's continuous. You know, it's every day maybe something else comes up. But it's knowing, and I bring this up, Kyron Lacey is a young man who just went to LSU about a week ago. He killed himself. And that's weighed very heavy on me since it happened. I mean, there's so much going on in my mind about what the foundation can do not about that, but to try to prevent that from happening to the next young athlete who's headed to the NFL. And a lot of circumstances happen, but for you to think the only recourse is suicide, you know, that weighs on me, you know, and just how do we combat that? And that's just ongoing. And as he said, it's every day. He may wake up and it's a struggle, but he's coming through. And that's the biggest thing, is to know there's the next hour, there's the next day. You know, it gets better. The sun comes out. You know,
and you know, and I think that's an important space to kind of wrap this conversation up. Is that it's every day. It's life, and you know, I think that people sometimes they see people they're successful at something. You talked about this young player that committed suicide recently. I think there were in the past couple of years, other celebrities that have committed suicide. Twitch from the Ellen Show. You know, everybody would look at him and think about the success or the level of success that he has and think, oh, everything's fine. You got a wife, you have kids, you've got money. But mental health is more than our job, and it's more than things. It's more than things. It's a part of us. It's a part of who we are, and that's why I think it's important to change it from a problem or an issue to just a component of us as human beings, and how we should be aware. So
wonderful.
Thank you guys for coming over to the couch, and until next time, I appreciate your viewing, and I look forward to hearing more stories about how people have applied tools to their mental health wellness and are looking at mental health from a lens that says that it's okay for me to be aware of what's going on with me and to take action to do something different.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Because every step you take towards understanding yourself better
is a powerful step towards meaningful change. If you or someone you care about is looking for practical guidance on how to successfully navigate the change process, I invite you to pick up a copy of my book, Change, A Guide to Achieving Life Goals. It's a resource designed to walk you through the stages of transformation, whether you're just thinking about change or actively working toward a new way of living. Remember, lasting change doesn't happen overnight, but with the right tools and support, it is absolutely within reach. Be kind to yourself, stay curious, and as always, keep doing the work. Until next time, take care of yourself.